Alright, everybody, what is going on? What is happening? What's up, Thingo? Welcome in, dude. It's going, man, it's going. What's up, Akim? Welcome in. Notifications should be at the start. I trained the wait. No, man, they start as soon as I hit start streaming, but I gotta make sure everything's situated. So that's why you get the notification. Plus, sometimes it takes a little bit for things to, you know, click onto the Ethernet. It takes like 5.6 million light year seconds to get to space and back. So, you know, got to give it that time. What is happening, David? Snickles, what's going on, guys? Welcome in, everybody, to another ZBrush Pixologic live stream. My name is Ian, aka IR Sculpts, as some of you guys know me, and I make toys for a living, and we have been working on a very huge project for a long time, for about a month now, and today we're going to be escalating that project a little bit further. We're going to be adding some color, getting the faces cleaned up a little bit, at least one face, and stuff like that. But before we do all of that stuff, you guys know what's happening. ZBrush Summit's coming! It is coming. So make sure to register, all that good stuff. Summit.pixellive.com. You guys know what's happening. We are doing a sculpt off. That is primarily numero uno. That's like the big one. Everybody's doing a sculpt off with 3 hours to sculpt anything from the theme that will be announced hopefully soon. That is coming October 23rd. So be there and compete. It'll be fun. Whether you're going to win or not, don't even worry about it. Just show up and try. It's an experience for all. So we'll take all of that stuff. So enough of that diddly dabbly diddly whatever that was. Lewis, what's happening, dude? Yep, it's going to space. That's what's happening. What's up, man? What's up? All right, guys. So I'm sure you're tired of looking at this like white statue that looks like nothing right now. Last week we did the sword, we did Tanjiro's katana, and now we're going to just kind of give everything a little bit of base color. It kind of helps us see everything that's happening. What is up, Matt? Welcome in, man. All right, so let's go ahead and do that. So you can see here I have the face loaded up and I have the base statue. So let's come back here to the base statue real quick. I'm just going to start giving it some base color. No real details, but just enough to kind of see our sculpt. Because sometimes we get caught up on all the details, and you guys don't remember this is what we're going for. So we're just going to kind of coat it with a little bit of a primer, and then we'll get into some more of the face details. I really want to walk in Nezuko's face and hair. I think that tells the majority of the story. And then if there's time, we'll get into Tanjiro's face, and then maybe some details with the straps, the box a little bit. Saving clothing details for the last is too easy to get into wrinkles too fast. That could be, you know, wrinkles on themselves. Wrinkle anatomy is just as important as real anatomy, and it takes a lot of time. So instead of feeling like it's rushed, we're going to make sure we dedicate a stream just for the wrinkles. And if you're new here, basically the whole idea of this long project was to walk you through how long it could take someone to sculpt a statue from start to finish. So that's the whole point of this one. So hopefully it's working out. So what you guys are liking. So let's get into adding some color. One of the very, very first things I like to point out is Z color. Z color is amazing, guys. If you don't know what it does, basically it's a plugin that comes stock with ZBrush regular. And it's just going to allow me to grab color from other elements besides what's in ZBrush. Usually, if you just grab a color swatch over here and you start trying to pick, it'll only pick what's in ZBrush. As soon as you leave, you can't do any of that good stuff. The Z color will let me take a color, drag over to the main one, and say set color, and then I'll set that base color. And then I can switch it and grab another color. And then we can start colorizing some. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. And just for the sake of life and stuff, we're going to put that up there. Let's see here. Ian, usually you unwrap UVs before or after the posing if you start with a pose model, obviously. That's a great question. It depends on what you're trying to do. If you're using UVs in general, Ideally, I would unwrap before the pose because you want to make sure that you get all the textures and stuff in the way you want, and that you have more control over the mesh that way. So I would say if you're in A pose or T pose, go ahead and unwrap first, because a lot of times you're going to be giving the animators or riggers, you're going to be giving them a T pose that will have all your UV texture maps and stuff, and then they're going to go ahead and rig it, and the texture map is what's going to obviously give everything to give it that color and flare. So just do it T pose, A pose. That was a really long-winded answer to just say T pose. Just yeah. Yeah. So even if you want the surface noise, even if you want the color, even if you want displacement maps, it doesn't matter. You're going to use UVs, unwrap in T pose. Besides, usually unwrapping will happen after the I feel like I'm yelling. It'll happen after the retopology stage. So you're going to retopo something, and then it's best at that point to make sure everything can be brought over. So you might as well cut your UVs and then make sure you can do a bake test, and that will ensure that everything is registering correctly from the high res to the low res. From there, you're good to go. So yeah, right after retopo, cut yourself some UVs, save yourself some time. Yep. All right. So let's go ahead and get into some coloring. So what I'm going to be doing is just giving a base color. Not really going to be adding any color detail as of yet, but what we're going to be doing is just selecting a lot of the just the random objects that we have here, and color helps the world go round most days. Select. Okay. Back on color here. Yeah, we'll leave that there as such. It's kind of a white color, so we can leave that there. Object. There we go. What's up, Stephen? Is there some gravity feature that will help with the drop the sleeves? Yes. There is some like we can use like dynamic when we get to it, but we are in flight and the concept art does have her sleeves puffed up. So we're gonna try to mimic all of that exaggerative movements once we get a little bit closer to it. Right now we blocked everything out, and now we're more looking at getting it some color and then moving into secondary forms. So still have a long way to go. I've only really touched this project here on the Pixologic. Only here. I haven't actually done much of anything else, so I haven't worked on it off stream, so it's taking a little bit longer than... Well, not really. Actually, that's kind of a lie. Not really taking longer. It's just it feels like it is because I've only really worked on it here. And so I don't even really look at it much once I log off. Which normally, most of the projects I've done, just do a base color with that. Get this ugly hair going. Normally what I do is I work on it a little bit more, refine it, and then bring it back and then tell you what I did. Here I've been doing everything on stream, and that's about it. So, finally getting into some fun stuff. Yeah, not a problem. Not a problem. Okay. Let's get some kind of gray color. So all I'm doing is taking Z color, and I'm coming up here, sampling some of this color here, and then going in and then adjusting. Grab this guy. Now let's go ahead and fill objects. We'll put Z color here for now. How are you guys doing? How is your Sundays happening? There we go. So for a regular sculpt, it could take a month. Yeah, so depending on your timeline, a lot of times if you're working on a big project, you can get anywhere between, I would say about 4 to 6 weeks typically for a big project. But that's 4 to 6 weeks, Monday through Friday, minimum 8 hours a day. And then you're also factoring in refinement times, and you know, we work pretty fast here. But on these streams, I am my own worst enemy. Where if I get hung up on something, that literally is just me. So sometimes the perk with at work is that I get to send it to an art director, and then they get to tell me what's wrong with it. So a lot of times, I find it a little bit more difficult to reel myself in sometimes and say, "Hey, move along, buddy." But it happens, so you know, all that stuff. I'm gonna make some color choices here. Okay, so in the show, that's typically a little bit more of a brownish color. And the concept is a little bit darker, so let's go with that color here. There we go. So many years using ZBrush, and my first time using Z color. Thanks for the tips, not a problem. See, here in Brazil, it's quite hot right now. Woo, Brazil, man, hot. Dude, drink some water, stay hydrated. I can't imagine being consistently distracted by chat either. That's true. I love taking questions, and I love showcasing everything. And I like going on tangents, so a lot of times I will like get distracted. But I love that. That's what makes it all worth it. I love retopology in Maya. It's pretty cathartic. Using a Make Human model from ZBrush, I was able to get 6 million polys down to 6,600 and use Substance Painter to make the maps. Yes. Also, hello, Ian. Hey, what's up, Today Smash? Do I use Retopo in ZBrush? Sometimes. Sometimes. I have before, yes. Yeah, I've used it sometimes, but not all the time. It depends on the application. There we go. Hello. Oh, okay. All right. Weird. Like these, must have spun those last time. Okay. Okay. Not a big deal. That works. All right. And it looks like we can now just color snag this guy. We'll go ahead and fill object there because it looks like his socks are not the same color as his pants. There we go. All right, let's get similar skin tone. We're gonna go ahead and grab his color tone, something like that. There, brings it a little bit to life now, which is so nice. Okay, these straps also too, I'm gonna critique them. They're a little wrong. They're too small for what it is. We got to make sure that we correct that. And we can go ahead and grab this color one more time. Get that for her socks. There we go. Fill color. It looks like there's a kind of a soft brown. Or kind of a grayish brown. Here. There we go. Okay, and then let's get this wood color. Now we haven't even started really grabbing too many details for the wood box yet, but will give us a general idea. For you, what 3D printer is better, PLA or resin for beginners? Ooh, David, great question. Honestly, I lean more towards telling beginners to do FDM. There's a lot more to it, but it's an easy machine to assemble and to work on. So I find that you learn a lot about 3D printing and how it works just from tinkering with an FDM. You get something like an Ender 3 and then build it up. You also understand how the mechanics of the machine work. So when something goes wrong, it's easy to troubleshoot. And then from there, then moving to resin makes it a little bit easier because you already understand the basics of 3D printing. And the only difference between FDM and resin printing, besides obviously the material, is that you only have to worry about the Z-axis and whether or not it's going to stick to the build plate. So there's less for you to worry about, but you obviously want to have that knowledge there. So when something goes wrong, you can assess what to fix at that time. But with FDM, there's more to go wrong, so you're a little bit more cautious when you proceed, which makes the learning experience a lot better. So, in my opinion, PLA, FDM, definitely the way to go. It's cheaper to get into it. You can also start off by making big parts. I know resin printers are getting pretty big lately, but I would say that even for a good size resin printer, you're still going to spend anywhere between $400 to $1,000 for something that's really good. And resin itself is a little bit more expensive than PLA. So at the end of the day, you can spend a little bit less money, get into printing, and PLA is a lot safer to work with in the beginning. You don't have to worry about fumes so much. You could just kind of, you still don't want to be breathing everything in, but on the safety hazard side, it's safer overall because it's chlorine-based material. So you don't have to worry too much about eye protection, not touching things with your hands, securing UV. With resin, you need a whole wash station afterwards, and you got to be careful. So there's more to resin than just set it and print it. And yeah, I feel like if you're more of an experienced printer tech guy or gal, then you can move into resin a little easier. But that's not to say that resin isn't for beginners. It's just really be cautious if you want to get into resin printing and you've never 3D printed before. So hopefully that answers that. I know it's there's a lot. It's a lot for sure. Plus I'm biased. I got into FDM printing first, and I was really happy with it. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and delete hidden on that one side. They need to scale this bad boy up. A much bigger sleeve than I originally gave, or strap. No, can't speak today. Sunday. Congratulations on another great job, Ian. Oh, thanks, man. Thanks, Lewis. Taking advantage of the space in my my comment. I still think it would be very useful for Pixologic to try an automatic rigging tool like the one found in Nixamo. Say this rigging would be basic. Yeah. I would say email support and suggest it. Reach out and just say, hey, this feature is really, really cool. Is there any way you could do something like that in ZBrush? Anytime you guys have an idea of something, just send it to Pixologic, because you never know. I would highly recommend that. Yeah, dude, no problem. I have a super hard time doing things like hands, feet, and even arms sometimes. Like the brushes don't even work for those. It feels unnatural. Makes me want to just model. Makes me just want to model them. Have any tips? Like super hard time doing things like hands. Okay, so you have a hard time building hands, feet, and arms. My biggest tip is study anatomy a little bit harder. I know that sounds like just kind of a throwaway answer, but really, treat hands and feet as its own character. Go at it with the idea that it's just as complex as the face. I would say the face, the body, hands, and feet. Any character without clothing, or just basically one character is like the equivalent of 4 characters. So kind of look at it in that regard. But you come up here to tools and you go into mannequin. You actually have a hand mannequin right here, and you can grab this mannequin and then you can manipulate it a little bit, and then you can set it up to kind of give you a base mesh, so to speak, too. So I would recommend starting with that, or just, what you could do is while you're learning anatomy, grab one of these base meshes and then look at your own hands, and then from there look at the way they build their hands and try to just replicate it on the side. So take some time to have some hand studies, have some feet studies, and really just kind of block things out. I also recommend Anatomy for Sculptors. It's a great Instagram channel, book. I think they're on Twitter now too, but they always give good tips and tricks. So definitely brush up on that. And then start with simple shapes too. Block out using primitives, get something that looks pretty good, and then go from there. That stuff doesn't happen overnight, but it can definitely save you a long time once you just kind of focus in on them. So if you treat it like a character, I think you'll have a little bit easier of a time. But I know what you mean, because hands for me took a long time. And if I'm being honest, hands for me still, like, I have to approach them slowly, take my time. You guys saw me play a whole stream, take these hands and like really focus in on them. So, yeah, trust me, it's not just you. Hands are complicated, man. Like, play with your hand a little bit too, and kind of make some weird gestures, you know, be kind yourself. But really try to like make that hand weird, and then try to replicate that as much as possible. Yeah. Hello from Jamaica. Hello. Jazz Ace Cover. Welcome in, dude. Hopefully I did not butcher that name. Welcome in, my friend. Hopefully you're doing well. All right, we're gonna go ahead and mirror and weld this for a second. Grab this guy here. We're gonna move it. Now, if you also want to, now that I'm thinking about it even harder, there is, we go BI, we also have Imm Body Parts. And what you could do is take a hand, and you have these semi-decent retopoed body parts that you can just take these and use these as mesh. And then just kind of focus on like building the anatomy a little bit, and then compare it to your hand, try to make some poses. It's a really good start. Actually, Imm Body Parts is probably one of the least used brushes in ZBrush, but it's here. You need an ear, pop an ear out. Need a head. So you can use all of these for base meshes. Feet as well. There's a foot right there. That'll give you a good starting spot. Don't be afraid to dive in here and use these. You know, I know like there's this tension that we all should be like building everything from a sphere, but you know, while that's important, and I'm never going to minimize that, so please don't take this part out of context. While it's important to start from things from scratch and make them your own, when you're learning, it's easy to get caught up in everything needs to come from a sphere. There are some amazing artists even on this channel that don't even bother from a sphere. They just start building from a base mesh because they just want to get into the sculpting phase. It's important to learn the anatomy. It's important to learn the proportions and volume and the fundamentals of how the body works if you're going to be a character artist. But there's nothing wrong with grabbing an arm and plopping it there and then working on that arm. The more you see a good looking arm or foot or whatever, the easier it'll be for you to remember that. And then of course, please use reference. Over time, reference will be minimized if you do things over and over and over again. But trust me when I say like reference is king. It will help you out 100%. But yeah, you don't have to do everything from a sphere all the time. Just most of it. I'm just kidding. But you know what I mean. Like it's not really a hill to die on. So you know, if you're having a hard time with feet, it's okay. Study some feet, use a base mesh, get used to it, practice. Always make permanent. And I promise it'll be permanent, not perfect, because most of us aren't. At least I'm not. You might be. Those are awesome. Okay. There we go. Now we have some color on here. Yay! Let's get the sword colored up, and then let's move on to some other stuff. Let's grab this guy right here. The katana is primarily a black sword. The sheath itself is, let's say, ultimately black and silver. Hey, what is up? Hey, Fen, how you doing? What's your opinion about rework one of the Imm parts? Nah, rework away, man. Rework away. Nothing wrong with it. Make it your own. Use it as a base. Trust me. Yeah. Nothing wrong with it. There we go. Love IMM. Nice. Also gotten some parts from Flip Normals. They have some awesome content at a reasonable price. Heck yeah. Yeah. Okay. We're going to look at this katana for a second. We are just coloring things. But his katana is beautifully black with a little bit of red trim to it. Looks like a red underbase, but it's just a black sword. Since we're just doing base colors, we're going to stick with that scheme. So what we're going to do is we're going to grab get rid of that guy. Grab all the parts that should be, quote, silver. Should be fine. That will be silver, so let's go ahead and fill color here. But with this guy... Ooh. Okay, I see what I did there. See what I did? Go ahead and mask that section off. Go ahead and make pretty deep red. Won't be the permanent sword, but it'll be pretty close. So, also real quick, I wanted to talk about coloring. Notice I don't have any supporting edge loops here, and I tried to color it, and it has this gradiency to it. So what we need to do is actually add supporting edge loop, going to give us a little bit more. So we're going to go ahead and split hidden. We can add in an edge loop here. And we're going to go ahead and hide that right there. Now we're going to go ahead and fill that. Touch. There we go. That'll give us something to work with. Then this goes. Go ahead and auto groups. Different colors here. That's grab the select lasso, fill color with that, and let's actually get that black color from his sheath and do fill color there. There we go. Okay, and using the select lasso, we just actually want to use select, and then we're going to go ahead and fill that. Pretty much a white object. There we go. All right. It gives us the majority of our base colors, and now we can move into getting the face pretty much starting fine-tuned and locked in. So let's go ahead and save this out, and then let's do that. Also, there's a little foot right there for my demonstration, so I think that's cute. Let's go ahead and delete hidden on that. There we go. Color is important, so let's get that going. And also, Tanjiro's hair it's red. It's a red color. Or like a burgundy, I guess. There we go. That's face hair, by the way. Let's see. Yeah. Yeah, no worries, no worries. Yeah, we'll try to study more of those. Can't have all of my characters just be a bust forever. No, exactly. Yeah, I totally get it. I think I'm cheating my art when I use IMM. You know, that is normal. That is a normal feeling. Again, because it comes down to that whole like, oh my god, I am, I'm not building everything from a sphere. It's nonsense, man. Nonsense. You know, we should be able to build things from a sphere. We should be able to block stuff out, but everybody has their good days and bad days too. So if you're not feeling it, just use an IMM. No big deal. I will say that if I were to build a base mesh from scratch, from a sphere, and I were to work on it for 8 hours a day, it would take me about 2 to 3 days to get it to where I was super happy with it, pushing a semi-realistic base mesh. And I feel like that's before even wanting it to be animated or posed at that point. Like, it could take a long time because getting the proportions right, the volume right, the look and feel right, and how far you want to push the details, that could take time. So it's not about how fast you do something, it's about how efficiently you do it. And over time, you'll just naturally get faster. Sometimes you'll get a little slower just because you're more honing in on what exactly you need to do. So don't feel like it's a race against anybody. Just focus in on what you're trying to achieve, and who cares how long it takes you to get there. I mean, of course, too, that is dependent on like if you're at a job and your boss is like, I need this next week, get it done by next week. but you know what I mean? Like as far as our studies go and getting things practiced, yeah, don't sweat getting it perfect. Just focus on getting it done the way you want to get it done. And from there, I'll just end up repeating myself 100 times. So, moving on. All right. So this was Nezuko's face. And we're going to add some color, and then we're going to start adding some detail to it, and then we're going to put a real head on this sculpt. So let's go ahead and fill up some stuff and get it going. Make it look pretty, as they say. And if you're wondering what I'm doing over here, I have Pure Ref. And I have a lot of reference. So if you see me staring off into space, that's what's happening right now. Got that color. Yeah, get that bamboo color going. That strap color go. And her hair. So I'm going to be using this hair as pretty much just a base. We're going to start getting those hair strands in. Her hair breaks up really funky, like a good way. So we're going to focus on that. Let's get this head done the rest of the way. Mostly done. Okay. We're all perfect. It's just that most people haven't realized it yet. I love it. That's probably the best thing ever. I can't think of modeling program these days that doesn't include things like. Yeah, exactly. Hey, what's up, little raccoon? How's it going? Ian, would you like to explain your method to do bandages in ZBrush? Yes, I do. I would love to do that. We covered that a little bit last week, but I wouldn't mind going over it again. So let me do something real quick, and then I can definitely do that. How are you doing, by the way? Okay. What I'm doing right now is starting to fine-tune a little bit of how the eye shape is. Let's go ahead and save progress here. The cool thing about anime heads is I really feel like they just they lend themselves to being nice and clean. So we just want to make sure we hold that look and feel. And I'm actually going to go ahead, and so I have dynamic subdivision going on, which can be found under Geometry, Dynamic Subdiv. And when we apply this, it's going to give us 3 subdivision levels. And that is more than enough to start getting a little bit of color on here. Also want to start adding in a little bit of some eye definition. Now we're going for a pretty focused face here. Gonna get the move brush. Gonna give her some pretty big eyes. But then let's grab the paintbrush. Grab black. And looking at one of the references, we're gonna give her a little bit of aggressive look. Going great. Learning slowly drawing raccoon. It's hard because the perspective was carried by 3D software, but 2D needs to do. Oh, yeah, totally understandable. Get it. Get it. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and give her pretty dynamic eyebrow here. Too much. Okay. What I like to do is actually sample the skin color. So when doing eyebrows, I like to make them a little bit bigger than they have to be. And then with the base color, kind of take away some of that, give it a little bit of a pointier look. Now I'm going to use these eyebrow lines, kind of carve in a little bit. Bit of aggression look to her. Aggressive, I should say. A little bit. Now when I smooth, I'm going to make sure that RGB is off. So when I go ahead and smooth, not ruining the paint job either. It's just cleaning up that mesh a little bit. Let's get a slightly softer alpha because I'm using clay buildup for this. So I like to use alpha 6. Gives it just a little bit of a softer look. I'm going to step down a subdivision. A lot of times I actually have my eyes a different polygroup, so I can actually hide those. So when I smooth near the edge, as long as I'm not using smooth cloth or smooth groups, it's not going to affect the shape of that. So I can get really close to some of the edges, and then I can smooth those down. Create a little bit of depth without destroying the spot where the eye is actually. And even step down and smooth this back out. Hey crew, what's happening? Welcome in, welcome in. Okay, so for doing bandages in in ZBrush, what I'm going to do is I'll just pretend I'm going to be doing them on her neck, just so we can not change around too much. Oh. ZBrush is yelling at me right now. If I wanted to make the eyebrow with fiber mesh, I would use it in the mask, correct? Yes. Yeah, if you wanted to use it, you wanted to use fiber mesh, yeah, you just mask it and stuff like that. What is happening? All right, ZBrush is giving me a little bit of. ZBrush is giving me a little bit of. It's yelling at me. Quite sure why it's doing that. I'm gonna have to turn it off and on again. No. Yeah. Okay. Well, that's fun. All right, let me restart. Hold on one second. Literally, it's like it's doing stuff I don't even know. I don't even know. Yeah, just close it. Hold on one second. Let's restart. Hi, sir! When did Pixologic start hiring bodybuilders to do streams? Calories in, calories out. Playing and banging. What's up, dude? How you doing? Welcome in, man. All right, let's try that again. Let's get Nezuko's head back on here. Whatever, if you know, it happens sometimes. Yes, I am learning Japanese very slowly, but I am learning it. Still studying hiragana a bit, but okay. So to answer your question, let's say I wanted to do a wrap around her neck. How I would approach that is actually fairly simple. What I highly recommend is that you duplicate your subtool so that you have this guy right here. And then just kind of, you know, solo it out. Also, real quick, too, I got distracted by ZBrush crashing on me. Spicer's in the house. Guys. You guys don't know Spicer McLeroy, a.k.a. the anatomy guru. Check him out. Touch his name with your mouse. And then go subscribe to him. Because every Friday, he does really cool streams where he gets a group of people in there. It's a lot of fun. So make sure. Also, too, he's super shredded. He's lost, like, you know, a few pounds. He's put on pure mass of beauty. And he's just one hell of a dude. So go check him out. All right. So we duplicated our subtool. And then what I recommend you do, now this is the really simple way, but I think you'll like it. Delete all your subdivisions, okay? And make it so that it is just one amazing, really easy, you know, polygroup. And then from here, just go ahead and take slice curve and just kind of slice how you want your bandages to look. You know, make them look a little different. Don't make them look uniform. You can even tap Alt to give it a little bit of a curve. All right, we'll give her like a bit of a choker here. Something like that. Okay. Just like that. And then all you really have to do from here is just select your bandages. And go ahead and delete hidden. Perfect. Now what we're going to do at this point is we're going to crease polygroups, and then we're going to just turn around and ZBrush it. So we're going to go to polygroups, and then, nope, sorry, lied. Geometry, crease polygroups, and then we're just going to go ahead and ZBrush. So geometry, ZBrusher, keep groups, keep creases, make it however small you would like, and then just ZBrush it. And then you're going to get something like this, and then we're actually going to subdivide a few times. Just ZBrush by half until we get some clean geometry looking like that. So now we have our wraps choker around her neck. And then we're going to do is take Z remesher or Z modeler. Wow, what is up, Ian? Speak today. You want to learn Japanese after Korean? Nice. Database Sentai. Yeah. And that that was the longest Taco Bell. Yeah. Wow. Alpha 6 instead of Delta 4? Yep. No Delta 4. Hey, how are you doing, Marco? I'm doing good, man. I'm doing good. All right. I just can't speak today, which is every Sunday. I don't know how you guys follow me. All right. So now we have this right here. So I'm going to hover over a face. And then I'm just going to make sure that it's set to Q Mesh Polygroup All. And I'm going to start dragging this out. I'm going to hold Control so that I get a separate mesh pulling off that face. And then if I want, I'll tap Alt to get a different polygroup color, which I highly recommend. I'm going to do this a few times. Okay, tap and drag this out, holding Control and tapping Alt, get a different one. Boom. Now, the reason why I did this is because I just separated them from each other. Before, they're all connected. They're just a different polygroup, right? So now they're all separated. You could, too, theoretically, just tap one and also do like a split hidden. Up to you. Yeah, let's just do that, right? Grab here, not project all. Let's go ahead and split hidden. Move down on the keyboard, grab this one, split hidden. Whichever works for you. And then from there, we're just going to go ahead and turn everything off but our target mesh and these bandages. Then from there, we're going to go ahead, same thing, Z modeler, but now we're going to go ahead and extrude all. Just going to go ahead and extrude this out so that we get different. Get a little bit of different. Now you can take this as far as you want, okay? From here, you could take something like this, tap in the middle. You can actually rotate it a little bit. You can manipulate this so that it looks like it's wrapping around her neck. It's not just three things that are there, so highly recommended. Just kind of move it around. Tap the next one. Right? Kind of move it. Back to move it. So really just simple way to do this. And then the next level of this would be to try to make them all connected if you would like to do so. But if you're going for 3D printing, this is a really good way to just get some pretty interesting wraps. And then again, we just end up making them look like they are. Now, if you want them to actually do some sort of connection point, then what I would recommend doing is then taking them, maybe splitting them in half. Not like that. You know, we'll take select lasso, come here, and maybe splitting these up here where you turn around and split hidden. Okay, split hidden. And then you can actually start trying to connect one to the other. You would do another one and then wrap and then wrap. But that's the basic idea of it. That would actually take a while to do so, but not impossible. Hopefully that's pretty much answers your question. We did that the last stream, and I did that around Tanjiro's legs. Because a lot of what we do is just make it look like the thing we need it to look like. Doesn't always have to be the thing it needs to be, if that makes sense. Oh, look at that. Kind of like a cyberpunk girl right there. It's awesome. Okay. Yeah, not a problem. The Leroy Jenkins of anatomy. Yeah, he knows what's up. You are perfectly welcome. Okay, let's do her hair now. And that's going to be the fun part. Actually, before we do her hair, real quick, I want to make it look like she's biting on this thing. I'm actually going to take the damn standard. I'm going to carve in right underneath here, just a little bit. I'm going to subdivide it one more time. I'm going to add a little bit of a lip overbite to the Alpha 6 and kind of smooth that in a little bit. Drop down subdivisions, come in here, smooth that down. All right, so it kind of looks like he's gnawing on it. Important Shift D, step it down a little bit. Again, that's why I love working with subdivisions, because it makes it easier to step down, smooth, step back up, then refine. And we don't need it to be super intense. I'm going to do a little bit like that. Look at it from afar. Blend that in a bit. Go. Okay, I made notes about wraps. Time for sleep. It's about 4 a.m. Dude, thanks for stopping in. I really appreciate it, Little Raccoon. Hopefully those notes help out. Get some sleep. Try them tomorrow. This class suits me very well. I've never done hair. Oh, you're going to be in for it. Hair is awesome. Only thing we need to remember about hair is we're going to take our time. Okay. Giving her a little bit of cheek magic here. Really dropping down the intensity at this point. All right. So it looks like she's kind of biting on it. That's the idea here. She's being aggressive at the moment. Have many of you guys have seen Demon Slayer before or after this? Go. There we go. There we go. That right there. Down. Up a little bit. Down. Okay. Yeah, let's go ahead and save it. We've done some work, and then let's start blocking out the hair. Now, hair is really, really fun. It's just it takes a little bit of TLC. Seen the first few episodes, awesome. Yep, great anime. Absolutely, I love it. Go ahead, love it, I love it. Okay, here we go, guys. Here we go, here we go. Hair time. So, let's look at their character sheet for a second and discuss the ebb and flow of hair. So, if we take a look at her character, what's really cool about her hair is it's almost like dreadlocks. It's in big, large clumps that is easily manageable. So we actually don't need to spend all day building out all these different layers. What we do get to do is build one hair or one thing that we can use multiple times to get the hair that we want. All right? And her hair also is pretty squarish if we look at it. It's like a strand that then flows and it kinks in all sorts of weird places, and then it's kind of like cut off. It doesn't actually come to a point, which makes it funky. So we want to hold the aesthetic a bit, but we still want to have like that nice shape. And also too, I've referenced other sculptors who've done it. It's really good if you've done fan art or you're doing fan art to kind of see what everybody else does, but don't imitate what they do. So I've kind of seen what other people have done, and I've decided I'm probably going to try a nice little cube technique. So with her hair in chunks, I think we can get away with making like an Imm brush, and then from there, just drawing out what we need. So let's do that. Clay tubes, that's one way to do it, but clay tubes typically is round. We could do something very similar with that with a cube. Now, many colleagues who sculpt always say they hate doing hair, but I think it can be something very interesting if it's done the right way. Absolutely. Oh, David, I like where your head's at, man. Asumuki, and Fubuki, One Punch Man. You disabled ZBrush autosave? Yeah, I don't like it. If you go down to preferences and you go down to quick save, you can kick this thing to like 600, and then you can go to store config, and you're good to go. It's that really simple. But I will say on my work computer, I have it on a lot because I push the bar. All right, so let's make an Imm brush that we can use to go ahead and get it done. So really what I want to do is just have something that's simplistic and easy enough. So let's save, and then let's go ahead and grab a cylinder, insert a cube like that. I'm gonna go ahead and just delete cylinder. We don't need that. And I don't like this cube. I think it's the worst cube on the planet. So we're gonna go to initialize, and then we're actually gonna go to cube, and we're just gonna make it 1. Like that. And then I'm gonna shrink it down like that. I'm gonna make it 1 polygroup. So just Control W does that. Ooh, fancy. And now I'm going to take the modeler, so BZM, hover over an edge, insert multiple edge loops, and I want it to be different polygroups. And I want 3 of them, like that. I'm going to select, make that another polygroup. Like that. Select that one. Hey, make that, it's a different polygroup, something like that. Okay. Now, we just go ahead and go B and say create insert mesh, and we say new, and we have this. Yeah, this. It's beautiful. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to go up to stroke. I'm going to tap that over here. I'm going to turn on curve mode. Now I have this. But this is still very, very ugly and not what we want. You can see it's all kind of broken up. Not what we want. Go to brush. Tap that over here. Curve. Modifiers. Go. I'm going to go try parts, weld points. I'm going to do stretch. I'm going to increase that curve resolution. Look at that. That. Whee! Just that. That's all we really need. Beautiful. Just like such. Okay. That's our hairbrush. Simplistic. Now what I'm going to do is from here, I'm actually going to save this brush out. So I'm going to go save as. And then we're just going to go to the Demon Slayer statue. And we're going to call this Nezuko. Ow, I can't. Not spell. Nezuko hairbrush. Face. Two subtools combined with merge down works from printing, or is it necessary to combine the booleans or Dynamesh? So merge down, what merge down does is not actually combine them so that it's watertight. When you think 3D printing, think watertight, meaning that it will technically float if you set it on top of water. So if you were to take, so if we were to take, for example, let's just go ahead and say, here's a cylinder, right? And here is a cone, okay? They're two different subtools, right? If you were to turn around and just say merge down and say okay, these are just separate items. They're not even together. Now, if you were to split hidden, and let's say these were in a folder, and then you were to merge the folder, right? it's still just two different subtools. They're not welded together. But if we were to turn around and Dynamesh this, okay, and we turn on double your pleasure and double your fun, you can see now that the parts are actually connected. So even if I were to touch one, you can see here that it's one with it. It's just now two polygroups, then now we make one. So this is watertight. So when you think merging something together for printing, if you were to just merge this together like this, and then release this as a subtool, the 3D printer, the slicer, would actually recognize these as two separate pieces, and it would try to slice around it, creating cuts and weird shapes, and it would just break in the slicer. Or it would say that it would print, but then you'd see it like create these weird facets and stuff within. So think watertight. That's why I preach Dynamesh, and that's why I tell you guys, if anything, grab Dynamesh Utility or Dynamesh Master if you can still grab it. I think just Google Dynamesh Master. That should give it to you. Because what you can do with higher subdivisions is when you have two items on and you have such high volume, high geometry, like let's say 328,000, like what we have here, then when I would go ahead and do Dynamesh Master or Dynamesh Utility with blur off at like let's say 1.9 million, is now going to preserve a lot of that detail as it makes it one mesh. One mesh. Okay. And if we just go ahead and turn on double, display double, so you can see here now it's a lot higher of a a lot higher mesh, and it's smooth and it's connected as one piece. You ever want to know if a piece is connected with itself and you merge things together? So like we take this and merge this together and you Boolean folder. Now you have this. If you were to go ahead and kind of grab this and do double, so initialize property, boom, right? It might look like one, but just go ahead and just tap it and see what you got. So hopefully that answers your question. It can get kind of weird really quickly. I don't know how to make an eyelash, bro. What the? Oh, I don't know how to make an eyelash. Might get to that in a second. I use for eyelashes for characters like this. I typically use the ZBrush. I can show that in a second. Okay. For what does brush curve by pen does? If you are using it, explain please. Actually, pen curve. I never mess with this thing. Never used it. That over there, bothering me. Let's see. Curve by pen. Curve by pen button is activated. ZBrush will use the zero curve as a modifier for the brush when the pressure is low. And when the pressure is high, ZBrush will translate into a curve edit to modify brush's overall curve. Never even turn this on. Let's find out. I don't even know. How does he do that? I don't know. Okay. We're going to use this here real quick. Let's actually try it. So there's one hair, right? I don't know if it will do anything of the sort. If I were to turn this on. At the moment, I don't even know. So, yep. Sorry, don't have an answer for you. Okay. What I will be doing, though, is I will be going to stroke, and I will be going to repel. Strength, I'll probably turn that on a little bit, so that way it kind of has a little bit of a bend here. Go. And we'll start manipulating the shape. Do the thing I wanted to do. Now I'm going to add, actually, I think I'm going to add most of her hair. Yeah, let's add most of her hair when it's on the body, I think. We can get some pretty good shapes here. Okay. What I will do is I will split hidden. Or split mask, by the way. Now, what's really cool about this is that I can go ahead and use group by normals. And I can crease polygroups if I want, which can give me a little bit more like that. Work on the bust at the moment. What I recommend doing with hair, by the way, is work with low topology. Don't try to work with super high topology because you get to manipulate it really simple, like such. I'm actually just going to go ahead and mask off a section. When hair, easiest thing to do is just work in chunks. Kind of manipulate this with a gizmo. And notice I haven't gotten rid of the the main hair block yet because I'm using that as a guide. What I can do is grab this right here, fade this out. Here, touch right there. And start rotating this around like such. The hair kind of rotates a bit. Fun. Oh. Yeah, not a problem, dude. Not a problem. Yeah, sorry I didn't know about the curve by pen. Definitely recommend looking into that. I think I'm going to do the same. But that's what I love about ZBrush, because there's like a million things going on in here. Something for everyone. Okay. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this hair strand, right? I'm actually going to, just for the sake of doing it, but also too, just to kind of get somewhere, I'm going to send this to home stage. I'm going to send that to target stage. I'm going to try something. Come here and weld that so it's different. I'm going to go ahead and split hidden. And then I'm going to go ahead and send that back. Perfect. Have this guy right here. I just copied that. I'm going to tuck that in. No problem. How long have I been working in ZBrush? I've been working in ZBrush now for about 5 years. So not too crazy long. Okay, we're going to go ahead and soften that. We're going to manipulate. Go that in there a little bit. There we go. Okay, what's also going to help is that we're going to take this color and we're going to fill the hair with what we need it to be. For some reason, Dynamesh is not needed. The reason why Dynamesh was turned on, because I actually had Dynamesh turned on here on the base head of her hair. So when you drag an INM on something that's Dynamesh, it keeps that properties. Goes with. Grab some here on YouTube. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. I went through, could not understand. I'm trying though. Yeah. Okay, let's go ahead and grab our hairbrush. Actually grab this one right here. Drag that out. Off dynamics because we don't need that. Gonna rotate this. Not doing what I want to do. Back here. Actually, okay, let's go to stroke here real quick. Let's adjust the repel because the repel's actually. I want that toned down. Maybe turn it as a 1. Oh, that's a lot. Okay, let's actually turn it off for now. Go. Auto group. Want to manipulate this one. Might do a fun little hair trick here in a second. Go ahead and group my normals. I'm actually going to grab the back face, kind of add some thickness to this. There we go. Real easy way to add hair thickness. Now what's cool is, like I said, her hair is kind of all over the place. We got a clump here, and then we get a clump here, and then a clump here. So we get to really have fun. We don't have to spend all day making that look super crazy. Brush size. Oh. Toothbrush. Turn off back face. If you guys don't know, back face is found under brush, auto masking, and back face. I just have a shortcut for it. By turning on back face, you can make that bigger. Take that forward, bring that down. out a little bit. Back base, let's actually make that thicker. What we could do as well is go to brush, auto masking topological, and we can do auto groups, and then we can focus on just grabbing one at a time, making that thicker. Okay, somebody asked about eyelashes earlier. You want to know how to make an eyelash. If you're still here, I can stop this part real quick and demonstrate that. More of the same of what I'm doing. So for eyelashes, the way I would make an eyelash. Actually going to use the Topologic, the Retopo brush. Show you that right now. Peek one thing I'm doing. If I wanted to give her eyelashes, what we could do is just really come in here on her face. We're gonna go ahead and grab the T. Wait. There we go. The TO topology brush. The topology brush. Okay. And what I would do actually to do this part, just grab a decent size. Go ahead and draw out our functions. Now, real quick too, you can't have subdivisions on when you're doing this. So what you could do is delete lower. Draw this out, and then we'll rebuild the subdivisions afterward. But I'm going to be drawing out some topology real quick, something like this. I'm going to alt swipe, that cleans that up a little bit. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hit S on the keyboard and touch 1. Enter, that's going to give me a brush size of 1. Then I'm going to touch anywhere on the mesh, and that's going to give me a single-sided bit of geometry. And then from there, we're going to go ahead and go to split, split unmask. Okay. And now that's going to give me some eyelashes. Or it's going to give me something to make eyelashes with. Here, I'm just going to take the move brush. I'm going to start kind of manipulating this, give me some basic shape. Of course, this is a little bit more for stylized as well, is primarily what I do. But you could probably take the same approach with semi-realistic. And then what I would do from here is actually use the Z modeler brush, and I would just drag this out. Like that. Okay. Now I'm going to take this. I'm going to go single side, maybe something like that. There we go. Now I'm going to take this edge right here. This because right now I have different polygroups. I'm going to take this polygroup color. I'm going to mask that, and then invert it. And I'm going to go ahead, hold Alt with the gizmo active, and touch right there. I'm going to kind of push those in and out a little bit. This would start giving me a little bit of some eyelash. From here, if you wanted to just go like kind of stylized fun, what you could do is come in there, hover over this edge, and we can actually crease this edge here, get crease in these edges there. That way we can hit it and it could be kind of smooth, like such. Then from there with the move brush, and maybe move brush with back face turned on, you can actually start kind of out some edges here. You can just shape them however you want. Turn back face off and you refine these. And then if it's too thick for you, of course, at this point, you just start refining. Push in what you want to keep. This is one way to do it. Now for Nezuko, for anime, traditional anime sculptures, I see they have a lot of painted eyelashes. They don't usually have a lot of, usually pad printed. So you could do something like that if you wanted to. You can make it any shape you wanted to, but that's the idea behind it. For me, I'm going to be painting them on, so we're not going to have eyelashes, but hopefully that points you in the right direction. And like I said, you just make that any shape that you want. Look at different references. You can even, that's one method. What we could do as well, let's go ahead and just minimize that. The other one, what you could do, if you wanted a very certain eyelash, just come in here with your mask. You can always paint a surface at this point. Say you wanted them flared out a little bit. Say you wanted them coming in kind of thin. Turn on lazy mouse at this point. Get them nice and cleaned up. Flare them out. I keep hitting the button on my pen. That's always fun. You could do this method here where you get a little bit of a flare. And then all you got to do at this point is just go to extract. I would recommend extracting at 0 thickness. Accept it. Right? And then if you've seen me work on this before, you would know I take the single poly group and then kind of polish by features. Keep group, keep creases, make sure everything's creased. Super low Z remesh it. So I have something and then refine it. Kind of take it a little bit like such. Clean that up. And I can just refine my shapes. Then from there, extrude out what I would like to extrude. Forward face. Extrude that out. Get an eyelash. So, a couple ways to do it. Completely up to you how you would like to tackle that, but that's 2 methods I think would work out really well. At least get you started in the right direction. If you're going to 3D print lashes, just make sure they're connected to the head somehow, some way, so that way it's a little bit easier when it comes time to 2 crashes in one day. Let's see here. I missed some questions. Let's see there. So guys, crashes happen to everybody. That's 2 though. Come on, baby. Come on, computer. You can do it. When it happens, it happens. Let's see. Ian, do you like to make anime characters more or more realistic cartoons? I am loving making anime characters because it's new to me. It's fun. Um, and also too, anime characters, they're not just cartoony. They tend to have some really realistic or semi-realistic tones to them. You can push them as far as you want, which is really cool. Um, so yeah, I'm still discovering myself within the style. I think it's good as an artist to make sure that when you feel really comfortable doing something like, I did my Captain America zombie bust, I could do stuff like that and it's fun. I've always wanted to tackle anime, so I've done a few pieces. Have I shown you guys my Vegeta? I think I have. But definitely, yeah, I want to do it more and more and more. So, uh, what would you say to young artist Ivor? Keep working, keep sculpting, have fun, enjoy the process. Yeah, I'd say a lot of things to young artists, but maybe in particular, if we're talking a little bit more like motivational tips, I would say just more of like, sculpt what you love, do what you love, in the beginning, because over time, you'll hit some dry spells and you'll hit some rough patches. But if you enjoy what you're doing, then it's going to make that a lot easier. Okay. Why? Eyelash got all funky. Okay. Back to some hair. I think the style of Captain America suits you very well. Yeah, absolutely. I love the way I sculpt most things, but I'm still learning too. And I think that's another thing I would talk about for any artist, not just younger artists. Don't be afraid to keep learning, because like you're gonna get really good at something, and you can rest on your laurels if you want. But I think if you keep pushing and motivating yourself, it's gonna make you more well-rounded, and that's gonna make for a more enjoyable experience, I think. Okay, I gotta load in my brush now. That's why we saved it. But I think I gotta adjust the presets. There it is. Whee! Okay, let's go ahead and go there. There we go. Do you have to sculpt the eye details, or is it better to paint it afterwards? For the style that I'm going for, it's going to be painted afterwards, but I'll end up poly painting it. Just for me, eyes typically are some of the more final details. I don't worry about those too much until the end. So with the painting process of the eyes, I kind of wait until closer to finishing. So with hair, a big tip for doing hair, making sure that you have like a root where it's like coming out of the head. And that's really important to give it a believable result. You want to make sure that it looks like it's growing out of her head. That's also going to help you with creating a part as well. Sure. Now we can just control drag. We don't always have to use the same Imm brush all the time. Control drag a little bit. Tuck this in. out a little bit. We're just working with manageable shapes. Back base will give me a little bit of thickness. Control drag that. There. Back face off. That's a good hair right there. Trying to keep it roughly the same thickness as the rest. Move. Now, actually, what we could do, I'm going to go ahead and split. I'm going to split this real fast. I'm going to split unmasked. There we go. Want to do bend curve. There we go. Yep. Give it a little bit more resolution. Start creating some fun little shapes here. Now, what's really cool, so with bend curve, this is a really fun trick. At least, I hope it still is. I haven't used it in a little bit, so let's find out. I'm going to tuck this part in here. But what's really cool about this is you'll be able to copy this over. So with the bend curve, what we could do is actually just hit Q to cancel that out. Control-Shift-D, hit W, W again, and I'm going to move this. And it keeps the bend curve active. A really awesome thing. Then you can kind of position this however you would like. Something like that. Hit W again, and now we can reposition this however we want. Actually, lower resolution a bit. Some flowing bits. You don't always have to just use mask. Give us something like that. Go. And of course, if you do want to use mask, I still use a lot. Hit W again. As soon as you do that, it kills the bend curve. Keep that in mind. Nezuko brush. Make another one. Just a rinse and repeat. Yep. Perfect. So with hair, we just work in chunks. Now, some of you are wondering what other brushes you can use for hair. You don't have to make one. You could probably just use the curved tubes as well. If you wanted something a little bit more rounder, and then just manipulate the stroke pattern, so that way you get a point. Or you can even use Curve Alpha, which is another ZBrush brush. ZBrush brush. That will give you some pretty good results as well. Curve that down a little bit. Kamara, what is happening? We went to the other channel, Kamara. What is happening, Kamara? Hello, hello. Guys, if you also want to see a really awesome sculptor, she's not on Pixo, but she's amazing. Kamara, click her name. Really, really awesome. Thanks for the raid, Kamara. I appreciate it. I tried to raid you, send people to your channel by mistake. That's good. Oh, not much. How are you doing, guys? Welcome in. Kamara, you missed it, man, because, you know, busted up ZBrush pretty good. Had it crash twice on me today. In the first hour and a half. I'm doing wonderful. Hello! Ah, fun times. Yep. Alright. Go. Wow. I'm pushing it. Yep. Yeah, so that's what we do here. Yeah. Push the limit until it breaks. Then push a little bit more. Have to. What's the 7-hour stream brain time? Oh, 7 hours. That's awesome. Can't even remember the last time I streamed on my channel. I have to do that again soon. Give away some summit secrets by like how to approach it. Anybody here doing the ZBrush sculpt off? Would you guys like some tips and tricks how to handle that? Let me know. What's she biting down on? She's actually biting down on a piece of bamboo. Matt says I am. Yes, good. All right. So that's what I'll be. As we get closer, let's see. It's gonna be October, so I'm gonna plan out 2 streams, guys. 2 streams. So if you're not following me on any of my Discords or other good stuff, this is your chance. Your chance to follow me, because I need friends. So, so what I recommend is, so if you would like a little bit of like tips and tricks on how to approach the sculpt off, then I'm going to create 2 streams in October. They will be more likely they'll be either more evening or sometime on like an early morning Saturday or something like that. But I haven't figured out the details. I will announce all that. But I'll then do 2 streams. One of them will be how to prep for the sculpt off, and another one will be covering more questions about, like, you know, whatever it is you guys are struggling with or think that you want to be able to feel prepared for the day of. I recommend, whether or not you feel like your skills are ready, I feel like doing the sculpt off would benefit a lot of people. Now, of course, if you're somebody who gets overwhelmed quickly, you know, and you're not feeling quite up to it and stuff like that, you know, maybe not look at it in that approach, but maybe look at it as the approach of experience, kind of being here on this side of it all and showcasing what you have. Either way, I learned a lot when I did it last year. I did not win. And I'm not even planning on winning this year. I just want to go in and have fun and see if I can produce something awesome. Whatever happens, happens. Highly recommended. So if you guys are interested in like how to prep for it, it's a 3-hour sculpt off. Pretty much you have to sculpt an original concept based on the thing they give us, which will be whenever they decide to do that. And then you have to render in ZBrush. So you don't leave ZBrush ever. And then you just upload it. So I encourage highly. It's on your birthday, Kamara? What the heck? That's awesome. I did not know that. Now I do. Now I know that. So we all have to go stream, and then we all have to say simultaneously, happy birthday, Kamara, best of luck, you know you're going to win. And then call it a day. I've only been working in ZBrush for a month or so. Would it be worth trying? Even just for fun, man. Even just for fun. Seriously, just for fun. Can't hurt, you know? It's up to you. You know, I also don't want anybody to feel obligated or feel like they would. If you feel like you're not too sure, it's always okay to say no. But I encourage it if you're looking for some fun, competitive experience with sculpting. Jumping into Spicer's sculpt offs practice has been awesome prep too. Yes. Yes, he does. Very fun. See, just do it for fun. I didn't even come close to finishing my piece last year, but it was so fun. I realized I could do more than I thought in 3 hours. Yeah, that's why. That's why I recommend. It really puts perspective in things. Yeah. Interesting. How did you change that direction head at the top with a custom head? Ooh, you're gonna love it. I will show you in a moment. Boy, Oil Cavern. Hopefully I said that right. I will show you. I promise. In 1 minute, and I'll demonstrate it. You'll like it. It's really fun. It's really simple, and I'll show it with my Nezuko head. I'm gonna go ahead and just control drag. Just tuck that hair in, guys. Just tuck that hair in. Overlap it. Tuck it in. Awesome. Back when I started learning 3D, me and some other students made up a game called Modeling Bingo with a similar premise. 3 hours to do 3 pieces with a 3x3 bingo card with themes. Wow. Dude, Brimstone. That sounds insane. I love that. That is so awesome. Yeah, last year I was a full-time freelance artist. So I was live streaming a lot of like practice. I was like practicing a lot. It was a lot of fun. Do it, and yeah, you learn a lot in the process. But there is a difference, and here's the thing too. There's a huge difference between sculpting for speed and sculpting for quality. There's a like if I was sculpting this for the sculpt off challenge, this is like way too much to do in that time. So, you know, this whole 2-character piece, high detail, like, yeah, you want to pick or create a concept wisely, as they say. But 2, I wouldn't even be focused on any detail that is not necessary. So if you're not going to see it in the final render, I wouldn't even focus on it. Like, it's just a waste of time at that point, you know. So like you guys saw me how I was like, yeah, a couple weeks ago, I blocked out all the anatomy and then built the clothes on top of it. I wouldn't have even done half of that. Would have just pulled the base mesh and then started clothing it up and posing it and getting it, you know, primed for what I needed. So you could do a lot in a couple hours, but yeah, there's a lot of things to kind of keep in mind. And that's what I'll be covering in these two special up-and-coming streams happening soon. Be fun. Okay, what I'm going to do now with this hair, I'm actually going to clip this hair. So we're going to take this knife curve. I'm going to trim off what we don't need right here. And we're going to smooth crap out of it. What I'm going to do is actually start blending some of this length into these dreads, and then have these dreads kind of start speaking for themselves. What have the themes or directions been in the past? So last year they did steampunk. Last year was steampunk. They haven't announced this year. I think the year before that was tarot cards, which was really, really cool. Some really amazing stuff happened. Go ahead and do back face. I'm actually going to go ahead and kind of back this way. I'm going to go ahead and remesh this hair. Wish this year was tarot cards. I want that thing. I know you do. I bet you do. Actually, when it was tarot cards, so that was a couple years ago, that was one of the first ones I sat and watched. I was at work at the time, but I watched it while at work, and it was fun. When the chance came the next year to compete, I did it. Did it. All right, here, let's see, remesh it. Spent the pandemic drawing tarot cards one by one. Wow, that's awesome. I hope it's not Cyberpunk, because everything has been doing that this last year. So yeah, I hope it's not Cyberpunk as well. That would be, yeah, I hope. But if it is, I hope not. But if it is, we're gonna do it. We'll just do it. Okay. Now, figuring out the flow of our hair is going to be really fun, and we're not going to finalize that until after we get to the pose itself. But right now, give us main idea of what we want. Think to what I want to do. This will be a little fun. I'm just going to kind of inflate this a little bit. Give it a little bit of body. Okay. And let's go ahead and save it before we crash again. I can't believe it's crashed. Nice. Blame me on that. Okay. Okay, so to answer the question, how to get this this head up here like this. Really, really simple, and you're gonna like it. First things first is, let's say you're happy with this, and yet you want it to be your little pivot point. What you're gonna do is you're actually gonna go to Merge, so Subtool Merge, Merge Visible. That's going to take everything that is there, and it's going to make it a separate subtool. Okay. And then from there, actually, delete that one. Make sure that we fill the hair color what we want, because we actually do capture color, which is fun. Okay. Let's try it one more time. Go to Subtool, Merge, Merge Visible. Great. And you can spend all the time you want finalizing this. If you like the way it looks, guarantee it, then you just stick with that. So, no merge or less subtools. And now what you're going to do is you're going to go ahead and you're going to center this home. So make sure that you have this in a position that you like. You send it home so that it is perfectly zero. Okay, so hold Alt, reset the gizmo, and then send it home. So now it's here. Hit F so that you're completely in the middle. Then you're going to go to Document, and you're going to make the back completely black. So choose choose pure black. So 000. Go to Document. Document. Hold the background and make that black. So it's like that. All right. The reason you want that is because you want it to be a completely transparent background. ZBrush takes the color black and it gets confused and it deletes it. So black is the background that you want. Once you're happy with this, okay, then you're going to go ahead and go up to Preference, Cam View, Make Cam View. Boom. Let it do its thing. And now there's your head. Got a little Nezuko head. Right? But we're not done yet. That's just step one. Okay? So after you go to Preferences, Make Cam View, you want to save that. You come over to the left-hand side under Image. You actually notice you have a texture. And that texture is now your Cam View. So you're going to go ahead and click that and go to Export. And then from there, if you're on PC, you're going to go to your C folder, Programs. You're going to scroll on down to Pixologic, pick your ZBrush, go to Z Startup, Cam View, and save it within here. Okay? Call it whatever you want. WG, why not? And hit save. Then it's going to just say, oh, you sure you want to save this image? Don't mess with this. This is exactly what you want. Say OK. Now you go up to Config and then hit Store Config, and then you're good to go. If you realize you're not happy with it for whatever reason, go back to Cam View and then just say Next. And keep clicking Next until you pick the one that you want, which you notice there's a lot of presets. And then once you see, there's my Vegeta head. There's my Nezuko. There's my cap. Once you're happy with that, go to Preferences, Config, Store Config, and you are good to go. Then you could just delete this one. You don't need it anymore, and that is it. Pretty simple. So that is for, at the very top, that tells you what direction that you're in. The default of that is, I believe, the plane head. Just the head planer. And it just tells you that your model's facing the correct direction, facing the front, facing the back, the sides, top, bottom, etc., etc. So you can just make it your own, which is pretty cool. I chose to do a really crazy render, and that's the thing too. If you want to make a cam view look really, really good, then when you hit render Shift R, you can render out all that color, all that detail. And when you hit make cam view with it render, it's going to change it, render, change it, render, change it, render, and they'll just go there. So yeah. And yeah, that is for regular ZBrush if anyone's asking. Not a problem. Then once you're done with that texture, just turn that texture off. You're good to go. Okay. Oh, the other thing, I wanted to show you guys something. So if you had subdivisions on your model and you deleted your lower, right, you had your high subdivision, deleted lower, you can reconstruct subdivisions up to the subdivision level that you had so that you can regain those subdivisions. You don't have to ZRemesh and project. I feel like these eyes need to be somewhat white. Creeping me out with that flesh tone. Kind of OG like how tables work. Yep, exactly. There we go. Oh yeah, look at that. Just adding white to those eyes all of a sudden makes it work. Coming through and cleaning this up a little bit because adding some details to her head. I don't want to go too crazy with the details yet, but we're gonna make sure that at least it giving that expression that we need. Bit. Okay. Now I'm gonna make a decision here real quick. No, it should be fine. Never mind. Okay. Let's go ahead now. Yeah, let's take that. Let's go ahead and save it. We need to figure out the final pose of her head. So now what we're going to do is we're actually going to... Now this will be fun. Okay, so check this out. You guys will like this. I'm going to go ahead and center this here. I'm going to grab this pizza box, select it. Okay. And then I'm going to go ahead and select everything. Then I'm going to hit Control F. Now this is really cool. So when you have the gizmo selected and then you have the pizza boxes locked, it's going to say, hey, do you want to take all those subtools and put it into a folder? And you say yes. Yep. Then it's going to say, what folder do you want? And then you say, Nezuko. Okay. Boop. Boom. Now everything is in a folder. Okay. Everything that was visible. Notice here I have eyelashes here. Not visible. So we're going to go ahead and save that. And now it's in a folder. The reason why I did that is because we're going to go ahead and take this folder. So we're going to go up to Plugin. We're going to go up to Subtool Master. I'm going to go Copy Folder. Then we're going to load in I'm gonna go low tool, Demon Slayer Sculpt Project. Okay. I'm gonna open that bad boy up. So here we go. Here's our Demon Slayer project. Lots of subtools, lots of subtools. And I'm gonna go in here and let's pick this kind of where the sword is right there. I'm gonna go Z plugin and paste folder. Right. What happened? What? What? Carnation? I don't even know what happened here. Oh, that's funny. That's the straps. Okay. Okay. All right. Not quite sure why that happened. Grab this guy right here. Okay, well, that's fine. I'll shrink that bad boy down. Alright, we'll just take off. Let me see something real quick. Oh. Weird, man. Weird! Weird! Why am I getting all these weird glitches today? Alright. Today is just my day. Wow. Thickness on there for some reason. Let's go ahead and turn that down. Go. There we go. Beautiful. Beautiful. Add that thickness back now. There we go. Now we can work on this head. Okay. Now what we could do is we could take this, turn the pizza box on, and make sure that's all that's selected. Scale this up. And move this down. And make this roughly about the same size as her actual head. There we go. And now we can go ahead and save this and make this. Now we can sculpt it in T-pose. Part of the package. A nice, fancy new collar. I know, right? all the good stuff. All right. Okay. Now, what we could do too is we want to make this so that we can work on this symmetrically, right? So I'm actually going to turn everything else off but this folder here. Okay. Deselect all that stuff. And let's go ahead. Let's actually make this background color a little bit more bearable. There we go. I'm actually going to go into T-pose mesh. Okay. I'm going to center this. What we're going to do is we're going to grab the head. I'm going to center the head. Send all that home. All right, so now that's in the home position. Bring that up a little bit. So now if I were to have symmetry, that's how that would work. And then we'll go ahead and send it back. When you work with a lot of subtools and you start combining everything, it gets a little messy sometimes. So you want to make sure you keep things as symmetrical as possible. All right. Now I'll have symmetry on here. If I turn everything else on, bring this up like such. I can now work on this over here. Go. I click this. This is symmetrical. We can go ahead and save as. Okay. Now let's clean this up. Focal shift, drop that intensity down. I want it to look like there's a little bit of a grasp on there. Down what I don't need. Now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to turn on AccuCurve. AccuCurve is a really cool feature that kind of like takes the move brush and makes you kind of pinch a bit. Pinches it, go. So we can make this nose a little bit more pointy. I take that, turn it off. Adjust. Yeah, just looking at the reference, making sure that it looks good. Now what we're going to do next, we're going to take Stager and we're going to position this head right where it should be. Okay. Go. So I'm going to go to Geometry. I'm going to do Stager. Okay, so now what we're going to do is we're actually going to be working on multiple aspects of the same head, but I want to keep the subtools broken up into chunks. But what we can do actually before we do that, let's group like-minded subtools together. So all the hair stuff, for example, go ahead and merge that down and merge down. Okay, so that way we're not doing this to like 80 different subtools. Okay. So with Stager, what's really cool is you can do this with multiple subtools all together. We're going to go ahead and center this here. We're going to go to Geometry, Stager, set home on all of the different points. Home. Offset that home. Now Stager is on every aspect. Okay. Stager. Perfect. So Stager on the head, Stager on the hair, on this, and on that. Now what we're going to do is actually hit the pizza box. We're going to move all of this together in one fell swoop. We'll even scale it up. Round. Back. Looks like take a sheet for a bit. Kind of get that close to the original alignment as possible. So if I wanted to keep working on it symmetrically, I can. And what we can do before we finalize this is that you take this one here. We can just hide it. Okay. And then we'll take her head. See if that looks good. Maybe want to correct that. Hey, A-Cube, how you doing? Very focused right I am trying to realign this head. How are you doing? Welcome in. Everybody knows A-Cube. Try the most amazing sculptors ever. Doing good. How are you doing? Okay, we're gonna need to fix her neck. We're gonna need to pose her neck the rest of the way. But that's pretty much aligned to the original, which is good. So now we can kind of hide that original a little bit. So now we'll be able to work on her hair and stuff. Now what we do is we come through here on this stager aspect, so geometry stager, and then we hit target stage, come down, target stage, come down, target stage, come down, target stage. Okay? So now we can switch back to all the different aspects, having home stage and a target stage. And that's going to really help us keep things organized in the symmetrical aspect. Turn off the honestly. In fact, we don't really need this one anymore. Tanjiro Katana, let's delete that. Let's also delete the sleeve here. We have a backup of it elsewhere, but the sword's also right here, right? So, we don't really need that. We can actually call this the... Right, we can put that in its own folder. There we go. So, now we save that as a new entity. Actually, 12 is fine. Let's just leave it there. I want to put myself in that category. I'm good, though. This is looking cool. Thanks. Yeah. It's coming along. Alright. This is what I wanted to do. So if we hide this, let's hide her head for a second. You see I already have a neck here. I want to utilize that neck already. So I'm actually going to take this head, and we're going to go ahead and switch that home. Hit F on the keyboard so that we're here. Lower subdivision. And let's fix this. This is the cool part about Stager, that we can actually utilize symmetry. We can move things around. Then all we have to do, switch stage, come in here, and see if that even looks good. Switch stage, hit F on the keyboard. Let's actually bend that back a little bit more. Switch stage, hit F on the keyboard, right? And we could just fine tune that as much as we need to. There we go. Look at all this noise I have down here. What is happening? Hey Cubed, you missed it. I had like a lot of like really weird crashes earlier. What is happening? There we go. There we go. Okay. There we go. Yep. All right, let's switch that back. Gonna mask this off one more time. Soften that up. Oh yeah, if you're going back and forth from pizza box moving stuff and undoing on the subtool, you did a big select, but sometimes gets a little wonky. Yep, yeah. Happens so much. There, and let's actually rotate that neck just a little bit. Right, so that's there. Switch. Okay. If we want, we can refine that a little bit too. Push that in. There we go. Okay, so this one here, we don't need this one anymore. So let's go ahead and delete that one. And let's delete that one. There we go. Yeah. Yeah, I just save often while posing. Yeah, I've been saving so much today. I've had 2 major crashes today. It's been pretty awesome, actually. All right, now we can do some big hair movement. We have that hairbrush we made, so we can start working with that too. We don't like these strands, but oh. Yeah, it's already 7:15. I feel like we got a lot done today. A lot more than I thought we were going to get done. Okay, we'll need to fix the underside of her hair. Actually go ahead and I'm going to split hit in that. I'm going to hide this real quick. Turn on back face. Get some of this pulled in there. Hello! Yakama. Hopefully I said that right. How you doing? Welcome in. There you go. I'm going to try to find some, maybe if I can find a pair of her eyes, like breakdown of her eyes, might be a little bit easier to paint on there instead of painting it from scratch. Then we can just use Z Spotlight for that, but for now, I think just the white's going to be good there. We can refine that later once we start getting into the final forms, but for now. Go. I think that's a much better head. And I'm going to repeat that process with Tanjiro. So instead of dwelling on this one, we're going to do that exact same thing. Let's go ahead and save. I think this is like the biggest piece I've done so far. Next to Chun-Li versus Vega. Alright. Alright, let's focus on Tanjiro's head. What I like to do real quick is when I get these like combined T-pose heads or merge visible, I like to come through here and just delete them. And then if I don't need this one anymore, right, I've just merged everything over. I will final save this project here, and then I'll get rid of it. That way it doesn't take up a lot of memory within ZBrush. We'll save it. Okay. Alright, let's load up Tanjiro's head, and let's see what we had with him. Tanjiro head blockout. Way grosser. Okay. Let's get some color on here, and then let's start refining it. His hair is a lot more interesting. Very pointy, very anime. See here, very pointy. We can actually use another method with that. So let's do that. First things first, let's get some color on him. So let's go to Z plugin, and let's do Z color. And then we can just take Z color, drag, and find his skin tone. It apparently is pretty pink. So we'll refine that. We'll set color, and we'll actually just kind of drop that over a bit. Fill object. Hello, what's going on? Hello, hello. Okay. Alright, and let's grab his hair color next. And let's also grab... He has a scar on his head, which is pretty cool. Yeah, that should be it for now. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fill this. So now we're going to build up his head. So we have the basic block out that we need to really clean up because it's pretty gross. So we'll start with the head itself, and then we'll get new hair in there. Hey, hello! What's happening? Why View 7? Why not? Let's start getting the ears sculpted in a little bit. So this is super low poly right now. So we'll get the ears, and then we'll start getting the eyes shaped. He has some pretty round eyes, and right now I have them actually relatively squarish, so we want to fix that. And what we can do is we can go Crease Polygroups and refine this eye. Start cleaning this up. I'm going to smooth this part here. Pull this out a little bit. Now what I want to do is I actually want to control the edge loop a little bit. So I'm actually going to take ZBrush guide. I'm going to subdivide this up a little bit. And then I'm going to go ahead and go to geometry, delete lower. But what I want to do with the Z guide is I want to actually say that that's going to be round. Going this way. I don't want the jawline coming down here. Okay. Now let's go ahead and ZBrush this. Let's start with 20. Keep groups, keep creases. Let's do it. Okay, that's a little bit better. We're going to refine this real quick. Back this up. Let's grab this color. Yep. I'm going to ZBrush using half now. Get this nice shape coming through here. Back. ZBrush always had the ZRemesher and the guides. Yes. Yeah. Oh, well, okay. Hold on. Let me rephrase that. As far as I've used it over the last 5 years, it's always had that. I've just started recently using it more often. But yes, the ZRemesh and the Remesher guide been around a while. And the guides are super helpful because it just helps you, and it really help you kind of correct how you want the geometry to flow. Not perfect, but it gives ZRemesher a little bit of something to think about. And it kind of helps you get a little bit more of the result you're looking for. Move that down. Up. Okay. Now he actually has a little bit of a yelling face. He's like gritting his teeth. And so we're going to kind of cut that into his mouth right now. Actually going to go ahead and apply this. Going to start cutting that shape in. I think this might be the first time I've seen somebody use plane for the eyes. Oh yeah. It helps me a lot, actually. Especially with this style. It's more of like, it's more of just having polygroup for the eyes separated. We're getting that wrapped around. Work it from all sides. Probably going to ZRemesh this again, but not worried about the geometry right now, just more worried about getting the expression. And we'll be putting teeth in here, so not too worried about how clean that mouth bag is. The chair might be a little hard to see, so let's switch it. It is ugly right now, so bear with me. We'll get it there. Alright, That's up here. Now, mouths might be very difficult to get right without a pair of teeth. So here in a second, once I get the opening a little bit wider and a little bit more how I want it, we'll get some teeth put in there, and then we'll try to refine it around there. I always find it's easier to refine teeth or refine the face when you have a set of dentures, something in. Okay. And to do that, we're just going to go ahead and insert. For now, we're just going to insert a cylinder. Call this white. Ish. Fill object. Let's actually go ahead and go to geometry, edge loop, and delete loops. So we can just get that in there. Turn on transparency. Just get that locked in. Then I'm just going to go ahead and group by normals and then crease polygroups so I can smooth it a bit. And I kind of flatten that a bit back in there. Now we can see just kind of where things are looking a little funky at the point. So what I'm going to do from here is actually going to delete my higher or my lower. I'm actually going to retopologize once again just to get it a little bit cleaner. So now the geometry can be flowing around the mouth a little bit better. That's the idea. There we go. Yeah, that's... Now I have edge loops that are actually going around the mouth, and then that's going to lend itself to a little bit better. In fact, we can actually have that. Let's go a little lower. Perfect. Color. Go. Let's actually use curve. Kind of start pulling that into a little bit of a point. And I'm just looking at my reference to make sure that it's looking the way I want it to. That down. Will you make two heads for her? More likely not, no. No, she'll just have the one head. Especially since I'm already making two heads. But who knows? I might change my mind. I would say we're approaching the halfway mark, actually, of getting this project finished up. From here, I feel like now we can start hitting a little bit more of a downward motion. Jawline. Maybe a demon head with open mouth would be cool. Could be, yeah. Tend not to give myself too much too quickly. You'd be surprised how fast you can overload yourself. And I used to do that. I used to be like, I'm going to do like 5 heads. And lately now I'm just like, all right, let me finish the one, and then let's see what we got. Yeah. You might be wondering why I have the head upside down right now. It's actually to look for errors. A lot of times you can find errors with the face when it doesn't look right upside down. Right now, getting this expression is actually really important, so I want to make sure I take enough time and get it right. I need to step back a little bit. Then just for fun, let's actually take a look at this real quick. Grab Z Modeler. Let's insert, keeping the polygroup name. We're just going to insert a bunch here. Crease Polygroups. Okay. I'm going to apply that. The reason for that is I'm going to take the damn standard. Now we're going to go ahead and cut some teeth here. There we go. We can kind of see it. Throw that down. Okay. I think actually, surprisingly, it might be too big. Need to actually put that in. Just gonna refine. Teeth line is why they added adjust last. Yes, it is. It's one of many reasons for sure, yeah. Are there any new features you guys are really liking? That adjust last is really cool. I use that adjust last, or that, where are we? Stroke. Yeah, I use that adjust last mainly when I'm prepping for 3D print. Unfortunately, I've pigeonholed it a bit. Use it a little bit more. Just last, I use all the time now. It's my favorite. Nice. So strange. Looks so natural modeling in ZBrush with me. Looks so strange. Yeah. Yeah, the knife tool is amazing for sure. Interpolate has been helpful. My Demon Lady, and of course Knife Brush. Ooh, yeah. Interpolate has been really, really cool. I'm still such a very, like... I think Stager has been one of my favorites. At first, I wasn't using it that often. But I feel like, lately, I've really been focused on Stager a lot. But I still very, like, used to my own methods and how I do things. I don't know. I probably got to get out of the stuck in my own world, you know? Mouth there. Mouth is getting there. It's taking a little bit of time, but that's all right. Remember, it's not about getting there super fast. Definitely gonna have to clean this up a little bit. Can you explain stage? I don't know why I keep saying stranger. Can you explain stager a bit more? Absolutely, yeah. Stager is a function that allows you to have two world points. You get a home position, which more likely would be used for keeping symmetry as much as possible with an object, but also to the of your target stage, which allows you to move it and kind of see what it looks like on there. So if we were to go back, let me save this real quick. Oh, this is block out. So just for example, here we have our main statue block out, right? And let's say I want to add some sort of like jewelry or ring to her wrist or whatever. The idea with Stager is that I'll be able to insert a new item, so let's say a ring, and I can keep this in its current home position, or I can drag it up, whatever works for you. We're going to leave it in the home position, okay? Now, Stager does something else too, and it remembers scale, and that's really important. It doesn't remember the state of geometry being manipulated too much. So, not to get super confusing out the gate, but you can't have something in T pose and then have something in A pose. It doesn't quite work that way. So it does remember the way the geometry is manipulated, but it does remember scale. And that part's important. Okay? So let's say I had this necklace here and I wanted to create something that's pretty, just something that's simple. So we're going to go ahead and go to geometry, and we're going to go to Stager and hit home stage. So now I'm telling ZBrush, this is home forever. This is where you're going to be. This is where you'll live. Okay? But then I will be able to say, I want to scale this down. And I want to bring this over here to her wrist and make a bracelet. Okay? Now all I'm doing is scaling right now and moving its position. And let's say that's her wrist, and we're happy with it, okay? And we'll change color too so you can see the color. Oh, all right. Now I'm going to set target stage. So now it remembers this position. So it remembers its home position, and it remembers where I want it to live. When I switch back and forth, it will remember the scale of the home position and the target's position, okay? But it's also going to note any geometrical changes that occur. So, for example, if I were to add materials, so let's say I want to add some insert spheres, and I want to do it on a radial movement, okay? So then I'll go up to Transform, Activate Symmetry, Radial Symmetry on the Y, right? And then I'm going to go ahead and pull this out here. Then I'm going to push this in. Now I have this, right? When I switch, it's going to remember that change, which is awesome. All right, hit F again, switch. Now I have this. Now let's say I want to make these points even sharper. Okay, this is where it's going to remember geometrical changes. So I'm going to grab the Move brush, and we'll turn on AccuCurve. And I'm going to go ahead and make these kind of spiky. And we'll push them in a little bit, right? So when I switch, it will remember that change. Okay? So this is why you can't have A pose and T pose in Stager, but this is really good to test fit things or to get things positioned the way you want them to be when you're testing a lot of stuff out. Then you can switch back and forth between that. What else? Oh, the other thing, what you want to avoid doing is deleting your target stage and then resetting your target stage. Once you set a target position, you don't want to turn that off and on again unless you absolutely have to. So you could try to manipulate that as much as possible. But if I were to switch back to target stage, and let's say I decide that I don't want this here, okay? I want this here around her neck. We'll do local sim just to have this on there. I'll blow this up. Say I want this around her neck. Yeah. Let's say that's the new target position. If I switch back and forth, it's going to remember that. I don't have to turn that. I don't have to turn that position off. But you can risk breaking that stuff really quickly. So this is something that kind of needs to kind of be maybe tweaked a little bit. So when you use Stager, just make sure to pick your home position and then pick your target stage and then kind of let that go. From there, if anything else, let's say you wanted it on that target stage, I would recommend shutting them off and then resetting a new target stage and a new home position at that point. But it's still pretty helpful, which I like a lot. So I use it to kind of just test fit things, make sure it works before I complete it. That way I have a symmetrical side and a asymmetrical side. Hopefully that makes sense, but that's one of the things I really like about it. I feel like there's definitely a lot of functionality in it that is simplistic and straightforward, which could be helpful, but I definitely would love to see that get improved a bit more, because I think that is going to be like really powerful. So hopefully that makes sense. Okay, come here back to Tanjiro for a second. Get that wide eye in here. Really ugly geometry. We gotta clean this up. And we got 15 minutes. I love the show, but some things make me sad. That would be its value to be purchased in Brazil. Type 895. I don't know. Wanted to ask, would there be any discount? Be able to buy the program in Brazil. I have no answer for you, Ivan. I'm not quite sure I understand your question, but if it's talking about... Yeah, I'm not quite sure if I follow. If we're talking about ZBrush as a whole, I have no idea how it's sold in other countries. Well, this makes it way easier to work on smaller subtools. Yep, that was an excellent explanation. Yeah, you're welcome. You are totally welcome. Yeah. Okay, let's clean up this ear a little bit. think he's talking about regional pricing. Yeah, I'm not too sure. Because I'm not too sure, I'm just going to answer with if you're talking about ZBrush and the pricing and stuff like that, the best thing to do is always contact Pixologic support, which you can get from their page, but I have no idea about any of that. And since I don't know, I definitely can't talk about it. I won't speak about something I'm not too sure of. I would say just reach out to Pixologic support and talk to them. But yeah, as far as that goes, not too sure. Sorry. Okay, let's get this ear in here a little bit more. At some point, you're going to have to accept the dynamic subdivision so you can start sculpting a little bit easier. Start building this ear up. And then we'll start getting some hair on there. Anime heads look weird until I feel like the hair starts getting on there. So I'll make sure we start building a lot of that up. Right now I'm going to focus on ear done. I want a good shot of it too. About where this ear would be. Ear canal. Back a little bit. I'm thinking next week we'll start really tackling more of the cloth and the secondary details. I'll more likely finish Tanjiro's head off stream this time, just because we've covered a lot on heads, and I don't want to repeat the topic too much either. But here, the way that's drawn, and look up proper ear shape real quick. Again, reference. There we go. That ear up there. Go up subdivision a little bit. Yeah, not too high. That down. That. You curve off. If you don't turn Aki curve off, you get some weird funky dunkies happening. Now we're going to do real quick is I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to insert a cylinder real fast, or sorry, a cube here. We'll focus on the design next time, but for right now, let's get this bit in here. Looks great. I'll keep practicing. Bye. All right, David, have a good one. Thanks for being here, man. I appreciate it. Here. 90 degrees. And then looking at this real fast, looks like he has some actually here. Wouldn't you rather work on a layer when trying some modifications instead of Control Z so many times? So ZBrush history rewind is pretty fast. You know, layers takes a lot of time to set up, in my opinion, and I'm just so used to Control Z. Again, that's preference, and yeah, I mean that's what layers are there for. I focus more on layers if I'm looking for, like, I don't know, like if I wanted to focus on some blend shapes or something. But for the most part, yeah, I Control Z. I'm just so quick with it. It's part of my workflow. It's what works for me. But definitely whatever works for you, do it. Yeah. Auto group. All right, now let's get this placeholder in here. And let's go ahead and mirror and weld it. Just get that there for now. Hey, what's up, Sparks? How you doing? Thanks, man. Yeah, trying. Yeah. That's the beauty part about ZBrush. I want to expand on that for a little bit. Beauty part about ZBrush is there's just so many different ways to go about doing it. And you kind of develop your own little style and way of going through, utilizing the program the best you know how. So definitely, yeah, layers would probably help out. But for me, this is my problem with layers, and this is why I don't focus on it so much, is, I'll come over here and I'll have to set it up, and I'll start manipulating, going through. But here's the funny part. Either way, let's say if I don't like something, right? If I don't like it, I could just go ahead and turn it off, and I'd have to redo it, or I could just readjust it. But at some point in time, if I want to keep any of these changes, I'm going to have to bake it. And then I feel like for me, I kind of just, like, if I already hit bake, I still have Control Z functionality, right? So Control Z is always there. And if I don't like something that happens within layers, I basically can just Control Z it anyway. So I feel like Control Z is just my bread and butter, and that's why I stick to it. But when I'd be working on something more advanced, like with blend shapes, where if I wanted to make him smile and then make him frown, then I would use layers and manipulate it so then I can combine the two. And I feel like that's really where layers for me shines. But again, it's really up to you and your workflow. But yeah, at the end of the day, it really just comes down to what you're most comfortable with. There are way more efficient ways to do things than I probably do them, but it's just what I know. And yep, I try to learn some new things here and there, but yeah, layers are just kind of meh to me. That makes sense. Okay. Let's start actually blocking out some of his hair. And now we have this bit here, and this is just ugly hair. So I actually want to kind of redo this part. So I'm actually going to go ahead and Z-remesh it, smooth it down, and get a good base going, and then we'll start utilizing some, or I'll show you how I'll start approaching his hair. You can build a hairbrush for him, and then that's gonna call it. Crazy how fast that went. Smoothing down all of this temporary hair. And I'll show you how I'm going to start doing his hair, and then we'll end up calling it afterwards. So he does have a part in his hair, even though it looks like most of it's going slick back, which is totally fine. So we're just going to go ahead and start building some of this. So let's get Z plugin, Z color, set our color back for our hair. Go ahead and fill that. So for his hair, what we'll do is we'll actually just make a curved tubes brush that then will become his hair. So we're going to go ahead and grab B, C, and then clay tube, or sorry, not clay tubes, curved tubes. Boom. That'll give us this naturally, right? We're going to pen stroke over here, and we're going to start modifying the fall off. Reset that, and then we're just going to go ahead and flip that like that, and we're actually going to be adjusting the size. So make sure size is on, and then boom, turn off intensity if we want to get something like that. But that's giving us a little bit of this kind of look to it. So what I would like is a little less dense hair. I'm going to go to brush, and I'm going to go to samples, modifiers, and I'm actually going to modify this to about 8 on the brush modifier, which will give me a little bit less dense hair. Perfect. And actually, I'm thinking about wanting to add another point and get not such a sharp fall off. Yeah, I think that'll look out pretty good. And then let's go to not functions, but modifiers. Sorry, curve. Let's do lock start. And maybe repel fall off like a 1. Then I'm actually going to go to depth. And I'm going to drop the depth. That way it kind of gets put in there a little bit. Maybe not lock start. Yeah, let's lock start. Yeah, there we go. That'll be good. That way I can move his hair a little bit as I need to. His hair gets kind of curved back a little. Be able to stuff like that, then I can move that. Maybe bring that up. Have you also not used Stager? No, I've used Stager. I love Stager. Actually, like 15 minutes ago, it explains Stager pretty well in depth. Okay, so I like that. So we're going to go ahead and accept that. And then what I'm going to do from here is I'm actually going to go ahead, hit B, and then I'm going to go ahead and save as, and then this will be Tanjiro airbrush. Boop. There we go. Now I can start working on drawing out his hair shape. How I want to do that. And Bit of a bigger brush. Again, like any hair, you just want to take your time with it, so that it's looking like it's coming out of his head. Lower brush set. Okay, if I was using Dynamesh and Sculptress with Stager, will it still work? Yes. Yes, it would actually. Go ahead and save this real quick. I'll give you a quick demonstration and then we'll be calling it for the day. So this is where we got so far real quick. I'll be finishing his head like I finished her head and get that on there, and then we'll start really flowing with the piece next week. So that way everything gets moving along a little bit better, but you guys get the idea of how it's running. Okay, so we were to go ahead and just grab a sphere real fast. Yeah, switch, that's fine. Okay, make Polymesh 3D. Okay. So yeah, if we were to go ahead and turn Dynamesh on, then we have damn standard. Right, we have Sculptress. So again, Stager primarily is working with the position of your model. So you go ahead, set your stage, shrink it down, move it over here, so that's there. Boom. Switch back and forth. Now here is something that is really cool, is that Dynamesh works with your viewport, okay? So because it works with your viewport, you have to be careful when using Dynamesh and using Stager, because if you shrink something down, then it's actually going to become less dense. If I were to Dynamesh this here at the target position, it's now much smaller. Whereas if I switch it over to its home position and Dynamesh it, it's a greater Dynamesh. So one of the tricks that I've actually utilized is if I need to Dynamesh a really high detailed part, but it's really small to the viewport, set home stage, scale it up, set target stage, Dynamesh it, now it's super dense, send it back home, and you're fine. So those are all things that you could do with it. You do want to be careful with that aspect. So if you're using Dynamesh with Sculptress, you're adding geometry on top of Dynamesh, depending on how big or small that object is in the viewport, you could end up breaking your Dynamesh. So you want to be careful with that. So it looks at volume and not the polys. Well, it looks at the changes within the topology. However that change occurs is dependent upon how you're utilizing it. I personally, unless you're planning on Dynameshing something and you need that kind of space, then I would just stick to some sort of ZBrush. But if you want to know where I got that idea to use Stager for the Dynamesh trick, Dynamesh Master, when you Dynamesh using Dynamesh Master and hit Dynamesh, it actually blows up the model, Dynameshes it, and then it shrinks it back down in 4 stages, which is pretty cool. It manipulates that stage. So yes, you could, but just be careful. So hopefully that answered your question. Look how tiny this head is. Here's our temporary head. Okay, guys, that is it for the day. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. Hopefully this was informative. You guys had some great questions, so always bring the questions. I enjoy them so much. Don't forget, too, that ZBrush Summit is happening. It's coming, guys. Know you want to be there. Be there. It'll be happening. October 23rd. And like I said, what I'm going to be doing is, in the beginning of October, I'm going to be announcing 2 of my personal streams that I do. Those streams, one will be for kind of just talking about how I would approach a 3-hour sculpt off, and then I'll take some questions, and then also give you some tips and tricks on how to prepare for that. And then the last stream will be me actually going through, and we can like either sculpt something together, or I could just answer questions on how you might approach something, even go over the rules and technicalities, because there are things that you can do, like you can build brushes on the fly, you can create materials, all sorts of stuff that makes your sculpt a lot easier. So if that's something that interests you, then let me know. Join my Discord if you guys want to hang out with me or a bunch of really cool artists. Even drop some of your stuff. If you need any type of advice, critiques, etc., or just want to share your work because you're all super talented, bring it. We love it. It's awesome. We also have a lounge where we hang out, conversate, have a good time. So if any of that's there, go ahead and check it. Also, I have a bunch of free sculpts. Most of the sculpts I do here on Pixo, I actually throw up on my Cults 3D that you guys can 3D print for yourself. Oh my gosh, I love this song. Went full circle. Awesome. Anyway, so yeah. Anyway, guys, all right, that is it for the day. I'm going to leave you and see you guys next week. Thank you again, and I'll talk to all of you later. Bye, 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 bye.